Alright, I got this winch and I needed a place to store in the back of my truck. I didn't want it just to be beaten around, so I built this plywood box to fit it in. I went into V-Carve and I designed a box to fit around my winch, and I gave myself about a ½ inch all the way around on the inside measurements. And this is the 3 parts that will be doubled. I'll need 6 pieces of these. And basically, I just went into the gadgets and went into the box maker, and I programmed the box maker to make these pieces. And then I had a piece of plywood that was 62 inches long, or $62 in price. And I'm thinking, I don't want to waste any more of that. So I just took each one of these pieces and made it 1 inch wider and longer than what I needed. So that gave me a ½ inch border outside my box joints all the way around it. And then I set my centers after I did the box gadget, I set my centers, and then I resized each one of my sheets so that the sizes was just at that point. So I've got a 26 by 14 inch piece, and I cut that out so that it was, it would fit in that. And I needed a 20-inch piece by 26 inches and a 20-inch piece by 14 inch. So basically, I just roughed them out with a skill saw out of the plywood and didn't have hardly any waste. And then I put this out to my CNC, these 3 pieces. I did put my center back to the center so that I could just X marks the spot on the corners by my center. No matter where I put it in my CNC machine, I know that the material would be centered in it. So when I had 3 different pieces of material that I was working with, or even the same, just find the center and then it cuts it out. And it proved to be a real good way of doing this. This box is pretty good size. Like I said, 26 inches long by 20 inches wide, and it's 14 inches tall. So there's some beef to it. It's a pretty good size box. The winch itself is 100 pounds. And this is all made out of ½ inch plywood. So basically exported this out, and my tool paths went out, and I just cut all my sheets, and there were my 3 tool paths, sent them out, and it worked out real well. And that was that part of it. All right, this is a cutout. I'm making a winch box to store a winch into, and it's my cutoff is like 25 inches. So I'm at the very max of what my machine will cut. And I just got through putting on this wasteboard on there, and it is 24 inches square, and my machine will cut 25 by 25 by 7. It's a Shark HD. So basically, to get this to cut out right, I went ahead and pre-cut the parts 1 inch over the size that they need to be, so that gives me about a ½ inch all the way around it. And so the piece is right at 25. And anyway, so it's done a good job. I basically went off the center, and then I configured it all to cut on the center, so I would get the very maximum center of the board, and it worked out real well. So there we go. Let's get the other piece in there and get her. All right, there's my cut into my scrap board. I use a 1/4 inch piece of Luan as my cut into board. That keeps my faces clean. And I also got out on the outside edges of this, so I wasn't able to cut this part, but it just cut it out in the middle of the air. And but it does keep me from cutting up my spoil board. So this is my real trash board, and this is my spoil boards. So setting's pretty good. Let's knot the other part on there and get started. What I do is I, of course, mark the center of the material from corner to corner, and then I'll put that in the machine and harvest or set my center right there on that, and then that will put everything in the middle of the board. All right, just got through shooting a bunch of 23 gauge pin nails in there. They were 1 inch long, and that's holding that piece down there. I also use it in here to hold this piece on. The carbide bits don't seem to be affected by the little thin pin nails. Anyway, I'll zoom in on that center, and we'll be set to. Alright, just dry fitting the piece or two to see where we're at. It's basically standing with the orbital
real lightly on both sides, and then stuck them together. I gave myself a little bit of allowance in there, and that makes it so you don't have to beat it to death, and it also gives the wrinkles and glue, so it makes for a real strong joint that way.
Alright, all the cutting went just as well as planned. Just a rough sanding with the orbital over them, getting ready to glue up. I generally put all my box joints, kind of assemble them, and then I glue them up. And I don't have a table big enough to do that right now, but we'll get this done and get this glued up. Alright, the old winch box is put together with box joints. All I need to do is just put it on a table saw and cut the top out of it so it can sit down in there, and just be a box that goes over the top of it. I used every clamp that I had except for that one up there, and I could probably stick it on there if I got to looking for it, but I went around and tightened it all up and tapped it. Those are 1-inch box joints. That's 1/2-inch plywood is $62 a sheet, exterior grade with a good face on one side. I put the bad face on the inside. So that box with that exterior glue on it, Type Bond 3, it should last for a little while. I've got a 100-pound winch that will fit inside that, and so there, yeah, the box joints is made her up pretty good shape. All right, there it is with the receiver hitch in there. It's ready to go. I'll put the rest of my stuff in there. I really didn't make the box to carry this around. Basically, whenever I do service it or get ready to do something with it, I'll pull the winch out because the winch weighs at 100 pounds in the box and stuff. So I'll use it for protecting the winch, and then it's back into my truck. And there you have it. Just need to put a clear coat over it, and we'll be good.